Commander Ragthal stood at the observation window, his scaled fingers drumming against the transparent barrier as he watched their latest acquisition. His second-in-command, Officer Plex, shifted nervously beside him. Quite pathetic, isn't it? Ragthal's mandibles clicked in amusement. To think these creatures thought they could resist us? Look at how fragile they are. No scales, no natural armor, not even a proper exoskeleton. The human female sat in the containment cell below, wearing what remained of her combat uniform. Lieutenant Amanda Blackwood, as their intelligence suggested, though Ragthal found human names as laughable as their primitive technology. Sir Plex cleared his throat, a habit he'd unfortunately picked up from studying too many human broadcasts. The prisoner has refused all nutrient-paced offerings and shows signs of what they call laughter when questioned. Laughter. Ragthal's secondary eyes blinked in sequence. In captivity? Perhaps their species lacks basic survival instincts. He straightened his ceremonial cape, adorned with medals from 100 conquered worlds. Give me a status report on the facility's security measures. Plex activated his neural interface, and the air around them filled with floating holographic displays. Quantum barriers at full strength, sir. 3 layers of plasma fields, neural scramblers, and gravity wells all functioning at optimal levels. The emergency response battalion stands ready, though I doubt we'll need them for a single human. Excellent. Ragthal watched as their prisoner began doing what humans called push-ups. How typical of their species, trying to maintain physical conditioning when they should be cowering in fear. And the research team. Dr. Nexus and her group are eager to begin their examination. They've never had such a high-ranking human specimen before. Though Plex hesitated, his scales shifting to a slightly paler shade of green. Speak freely, officer. The medical team reports unusual readings from their preliminary scans. The human's bone density, muscle fiber structure, and neural patterns don't match our previous data. And there's something else, sir. The prisoner. She keeps smiling. Ragthal waved a dismissive hand. Typical human psychological warfare. They think they can unnerve us with their teeth-baring ritual. Remember, Officer Plex, we are the Zarkax Empire. We've dominated 12 galaxies. This facility alone has enough firepower to reduce a small moon to cosmic dust. A junior officer burst into the observation room, nearly tripping over his own tail. Commander, we've detected unusual activity in the Terran communication channels. More of their primitive radio waves. Ragthal didn't bother turning around. No, sir, they're using quantum entanglement frequencies. Our own frequencies. And sir, the junior officer's voice trembled. The messages aren't in their usual Earth languages. They're in High Zarkax. Now Ragthal turned, all 4 eyes focusing on the messenger. Impossible. Their technology is centuries behind ours. They're still using combustion engines and silicon-based computing. Below, Lieutenant Blackwood had finished her exercises and was now sitting cross-legged in the center of her cell, that unsettling smile still playing across her face. As if she knew something they didn't. Sir Plex's voice had dropped to a whisper. Perhaps we should consider increasing security measures. The humans have shown remarkable adaptability in their brief encounters with other species. Nonsense. Ragthal's tail lashed in irritation. Next, you'll suggest they've somehow reversed engineered our quantum shield technology or decoded our neural networks. They're primitives, Officer Plex. Primitives who had the audacity to refuse our generous offer of vassalage. This one. He gestured at Blackwood, will serve as an excellent example of what happens to species that defy the Empire. The junior officer cleared his throat. Sir, there's one more thing. Our long-range sensors have detected. Well, sir, they're detecting nothing. Nothing. Ragthal's scales rippled in confusion. Yes, sir. All the usual background radiation, stellar phenomena, and space traffic. It's gone silent. As if something is blocking our sensors. Or as if something is coming that's absorbing all signals. In her cell, Lieutenant Blackwood looked up directly at the observation window. Even though Ragthal knew she couldn't see through the one-way quantum barrier, her eyes seemed to meet his, and then she winked. For the first time in his 300-cycle career, Commander Ragthal felt something he'd never experienced before: doubt. Dr. Nexus adjusted her sensory appendages as she studied the readings from the interrogation chamber. Behind her, Commander Rak Thal paced impatiently, his ceremonial cape swishing against the polished floor. Fascinating, she muttered, her primary brain processing the data while her secondary brain coordinated the test sequences. The human's pain threshold exceeds our baseline predictions by 300%. Lieutenant Blackwood sat strapped to the Neural Inquisitor, a device that had broken the strongest minds of 17 species. She was humming. Actually humming. Some oddly catchy tune about a sailor going to sea. Impossible, Rak Thal snapped. Increase the neural stimulus. With respect, Commander, we're already at maximum safe levels. Any higher could cause permanent neural damage, and you wanted the specimen intact for further study. Blackwood stopped humming long enough to speak. You know what's funny? I had worse during basic training. She cracked her neck, the sound making several junior scientists flinch. Though I gotta admit, the light show is pretty impressive. Dr. Nexus exchanged worried glances with her research team. No species had ever maintained coherent speech patterns at this stimulus level, let alone displayed humor. You mentioned basic training, Nexus said, her scientific curiosity overtaking protocol. This is a military preparation process. Oh yeah. 13 weeks of pure fun. Sergeant Barnes was way scarier than this fancy chair of yours. He once made us do burpees in the rain for 6 hours because someone's boots weren't shiny enough. The research team frantically recorded every word. Rak Thal's scales flushed dark with anger. You're lying. No species would voluntarily subject their warriors to such conditions. Blackwood laughed. Voluntarily? Hell, we pay for the privilege. Got any more party tricks? This is starting to get boring. Nexus switched off the Neural Inquisitor. Her appendages trembled slightly as she reviewed the complete data set. Commander, I believe we may have miscalculated. Explain. The human's neural pathways. They're adapting. Each stimulus cycle is less effective than the last. It's as if she paused, checking her readings again. It's as if her nervous system is learning to ignore our technology. That's not possible. Rak Thal's tail knocked over a tray of scientific instruments. No biological system can adapt that quickly. Unless Officer Plex interjected from his observation post, they've encountered similar technology before. The room fell silent. Even Blackwood stopped humming, though her smile grew wider. Preposterous, Rak Thal finally said. Their planet hasn't even achieved unified government. They're still fighting amongst themselves over primitive resources. Actually, Blackwood chimed in, we just like fighting. It's kind of our thing. Speaking of which, you might want to check on Hangar Bay 3. Plex immediately accessed the security feeds. His scales went pale. Sir, the automated defense systems in Hangar 3 have gone offline. What? How? Unknown, sir. But it started exactly when the prisoner mentioned it. Rak Thal stormed over to Blackwood. What did you do? Me? I'm strapped to your fancy chair, remember? I'm just making conversation. She tilted her head. Though if I were you, I'd probably check Hangar 4 in about, 15 seconds. The facility's alarms began blaring. Red emergency lights bathed the interrogation chamber in an ominous glow. Multiple security breaches detected, the automated system announced in Zarkax. Quantum barrier integrity compromised. Neural scrambler network offline. Emergency protocols initiated. Dr. Nexus's appendages were flying over her console. Commander, these readings. The human's neural patterns are generating some kind of interference field. It's affecting our systems. What? Rak Thal grabbed the console, staring at the incomprehensible data. That's not possible. Their technology doesn't even approach this level of sophistication. Oh, that Blackwood stretched as much as her restraints would allow. Just a little upgrade courtesy of the last bunch of aliens who thought humans would make easy targets. Neural transmitter, bioengineered enhancement package, the works. We reversed engineered their tech, made it better, then took their entire fleet as a thank you gift. Her smile turned predatory. The Zarkax Empire isn't the first to underestimate Earth, but you might be the last. The lights flickered. In the distance, something exploded. Sir Plex's voice was barely a whisper. The long-range sensors are back online. You need to see this. The holographic display showed thousands of ships dropping out of quantum space. Ships of clearly human design, but incorporating technology that should have been centuries beyond their reach. Quite a fleet, Wright Blackwood commented casually. Would you believe we built all that in just 8 months? Humans get really productive when we're angry. And kidnapping a Marine, she shook her head. That made us very, very angry. Rakthal's ceremonial cape suddenly felt very heavy. Why are you telling us this now? Because Blackwood said as the facility's gravity generators began to fail, my extraction team just finished their countdown. The command center of the Zarkax facility erupted into chaos as communication channels blazed with activity. Officer Plex's neural interface struggled to process the flood of incoming signals, each more alarming than the last. Status report, Rakthal demanded, his composed demeanor crumbling like a meteor entering atmosphere. Sir, we're receiving transmissions from every Zarkax outpost in 3 sectors. Plex's voice quivered. The humans, they're everywhere. The main holographic display filled with tactical data. Across vast stretches of space, Zarkax defensive positions were going dark, not just damaged or destroyed, but completely silent. Show me, Rakthal commanded. The footage that appeared made his scales crawl. Human ships, sleek and predatory, moved with impossible precision. They were using modified versions of Zarkax quantum drives, but the energy signatures were off the charts. Where Zarkax ships needed hours to recharge after a quantum jump, the human vessels were jumping rapidly, appearing and disappearing like cosmic lightning. This can't be happening, a junior tactical officer whispered. Their ships are using banned quantum configurations. The kind Theoretical Weapons Division said would tear apart any vessel attempting them. Tear apart any Zarkax vessel, corrected a familiar voice. Lieutenant Blackwood, now standing in the doorway flanked by 2 heavily armed humans in powered combat suits, looked thoroughly amused. Turns out human brains are particularly good at handling quantum displacement stress. Who knew? Rakthal spun around, his ceremonial cape tangling with his tail. Guards. Oh, you mean these guards? Blackwood gestured to the unconscious Zarkax security team in the hallway. They're taking a little nap. The neural scrambler feedback hit them pretty hard when we reversed its frequency. More tactical displays lit up as new data poured in. The human fleet wasn't just attacking, they were herding Zarkax forces like prey animals, forcing them into precisely calculated kill zones. Sir Plex reported, his scales now almost white with fear. We're receiving a priority transmission from High Command. They're ordering an immediate withdrawal from all human-controlled space. Withdrawal? Rakthal's secondary eyes bulged. The Empire does not withdraw. We are the dominant force in 12 galaxies. 11 galaxies now, one of the human soldiers corrected. His powered armor hummed softly as he moved, the surface shifting colors to match the surrounding environment. You really should have studied our history better. Humans have this bad habit of taking other people's tech and making it way more dangerous. Another explosion rocked the facility. Through the command center's panoramic windows, they could see human dropships deploying troops with terrifying efficiency. Each soldier moved with augmented speed and strength, their armor incorporating technology stolen from 6 alien races. The worst part, Blackwood said, casually leaning against a console, is that you guys actually had better tech than most who tried to invade Earth. But you made the same mistake they all made. You thought we'd be easy prey because we still fight among ourselves. The tactical display showed more human ships arriving. But these were different, massive vessels that dwarfed even Zarkax capital ships. What are those? Plex asked, professional curiosity momentarily overriding his fear. Remember that quantum barrier technology you're so proud of? Blackwood grinned. We figured out how to project it around entire ships. Those big boys are mobile fortress factories. They can produce a complete combat fleet in under a week. We've got about 50 of them now, scattered across your former territory. Rakthal's mind reeled as he processed the implications, but the resources required. The industrial capacity, Like I said, humans get really productive when we're angry. The whole planet's been working overtime since you grabbed me. Multiple governments, corporations, even former enemies, all focused on one goal, making sure nobody ever thinks they can push humanity around again. The facility shook again, more violently this time. Outside, human troops were methodically securing each section, their movements suggesting intimate knowledge of the layout. "Did you really think I was the only one sending neural data back to Earth?" Blackwood asked. "Everything I experienced in your tender care got transmitted, analyzed, and used to upgrade our weapons and defenses. You didn't just capture a Marine, you gave Earth a live feed of your most classified military technology." A new alert screamed across the command displays. The quantum barrier protecting the facility's central core was failing, systematically dismantled by human cyber warfare teams using protocols that shouldn't have existed. "This is impossible," Rockthal muttered. "Your species was supposed to be centuries away from this level of advancement." "Here's the thing about humans," Blackwood said, checking her tactical display with practiced ease. "We don't do what we're supposed to do. We see someone else's impossible and think, hey, that looks fun. Let's do it twice as fast and 3 times more explosively." Through the windows, they could see more human ships arriving, their hulls bristling with weapons that combined Zarkak's quantum technology with several other alien weapon systems, all refined and improved by human engineering. Sir Plex said quietly, "High Command is sending new orders. They're requesting permission to open diplomatic channels with Earth." Rockthal's tail went limp. In the 12,000 cycle history of the Empire, they had never initiated diplomatic contact. Other species petitioned them, begged them, submitted to them, but they had never. "Oh good," Blackwood said brightly, "you're learning. Maybe there's hope for your species after all. Now, about those other 11 galaxies of yours." Commander Rockthal watched in horror as another status display winked out. The great fortress of Kaxnar, impenetrable for 6,000 cycles, had fallen in less than 20 minutes to human forces. His command center, once a monument to Zarkak's superiority, now served as his prison, with Lieutenant Blackwood and her team allowing him to witness his empire's dismantling. "Fortress Yaxtal has gone dark," Plex reported, his voice hollow. "Their last transmission mentioned something called tank divisions. The humans are using ground vehicles that can phase through solid matter." He phased through. Rockthal's scales rippled in disbelief. "That's theoretical technology. Even our best scientists said the power requirements would be impossible," Blackwood interrupted, tapping something on her armor's control panel. A holographic display showed massive human vehicles materializing inside Zarkak's fortifications. "Yeah, we get that a lot. Turns out the power requirements aren't so bad when you combine your quantum tech with that nice zero-point energy system we borrowed from the Nexari last year." The Nexari. Rockthal remembered their delegation at the last Galactic Council, bragging about their impenetrable defense grid. They had disappeared from galactic politics 6 months ago, claiming technical difficulties. "You didn't," he whispered. "They shot down one of our survey ships," Blackwood shrugged. "We took their tech as an apology, added it to the collection." Speaking of collections, she nodded to one of her soldiers, who activated another display. The screen showed human ships surrounding the Zarkak's shipyards at Dexpor, but instead of destroying them, the humans were stealing them. Massive transport ships swallowed entire dry docks, while human engineers swarmed through production facilities. "That's our most advanced manufacturing center." "Was your most advanced manufacturing center," Blackwood corrected. "Now it's our new research and development facility. Those quantum forge designs of yours are pretty impressive. Our engineers have some fun ideas for improvements." Another alert screamed across the command displays. The research station at Vortal, home to the Empire's most classified military projects, was under attack. But the tactical data made no sense. Sir Plex said, his professional composure finally cracking. "The humans at Vortal, they're using our own prototype weapons against the station. Weapons that never made it past theoretical testing." Blackwood laughed. "You really should encrypt your research databases better, or at least not connect them to networks that can be accessed from detention cell neural scanners." Everything. Rockthal's secondary heart nearly stopped. you accessed everything. Every blueprint, every failed experiment, every theoretical weapon you were too scared to build. Turns out humans are really good at making impossible things work. Must be all that practice ignoring the laws of physics. The main display updated with fresh tactical data. Across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, human forces were systematically dismantling the Zarkak's military infrastructure. But they weren't just destroying it. They were studying it, improving it, and turning it against its creators. Ace Commander T. Hal requests immediate reinforcements. Plex reported. The humans are using some kind of biological warfare. We would never, Reichthal started. Oh, that's not a weapon, Blackwood interjected. That's coffee. We gave some to your troops. Turns out your species gets really hyperactive with caffeine. Most of them are too busy bouncing off walls to fight back. A new series of alarms blared. The quantum communication network, backbone of the Empire's military command structure, was experiencing unprecedented disruptions. What are you doing to our network? Reichthal demanded. Us? Nothing. Blackwood checked her tactical display. That would be the civilian hackers back on Earth. Once we cracked your quantum encryption, we posted the codes online. Teenagers with laptops are rewriting your military protocols for fun. I think one kid in Nebraska just reprogrammed your entire defense grid to play something called Doom. The implications staggered him. The Zarkaks had always assumed their technology was too advanced for other species to comprehend, let alone manipulate. But these humans weren't just using it, they were treating it like a toy. Sir Plex's voice dropped to a whisper. We're receiving reports from the colony worlds. The human ships are appearing in orbit, but they're not attacking. They're broadcasting something. Show me. The display filled with images of human entertainment broadcasts. Cooking shows, sports matches, something called cat videos. But mixed in with the entertainment were historical documentaries, showing humanity's rapid rise from a primitive civilization to a spacefaring species. Psychological warfare, Reichthal asked. In cultural exchange, Blackwood corrected. We're letting your people see who we really are. And more importantly, what happens when someone picks a fight with us. Did you know your colonial populations are already trying to copy human dances? Some of them are starting food blogs. Another fortress fell. This one to what the reports described as human ships that could control gravity itself. Reichthal watched as Zarkak's warships were crushed into balls of compressed matter, while others were simply flung into deep space. That's impossible, he muttered, more from habit than conviction now. Gravity manipulation on that scale was impossible right up until someone told humans it was impossible, Blackwood finished. Really, you should have done your homework. There are entire human religions built around proving people wrong. The tactical display updated again. The Zarkak's Third Fleet, pride of the Imperial Navy, was retreating from human forces. But the humans weren't pursuing. Instead, they were systematically blocking quantum travel corridors, herding the Zarkak ships exactly where they wanted them. Your ships are faster, Reichthal observed. Why not destroy them? Because this isn't about destruction, Blackwood said, her voice suddenly serious. This is about sending a message. Every ship we let escape becomes a warning to the next bunch of aliens who think Earth might be an easy target. As if to emphasize her point, a new alert indicated that human forces had breached the defenses of the Imperial Military Academy, but instead of the expected devastation, the humans were giving lectures? Your warriors are teaching our cadets, Plex asked, confusion overwhelming his fear. Advanced xenotechnology, practical applications of quantum mechanics, and basic human history, Blackwood confirmed. We figure if we're going to be neighbors, your next generation should understand why picking fights with humans is a bad idea. Reichthal slumped in his command chair, his ceremonial cape pooling around him like a shroud. In less than a standard day, humans had not just defeated the Empire's military might, they had comprehensively proven its inferiority. Why, he finally asked. Why not just destroy us completely? Because that's not who we are, Blackwood said. Well, not anymore. We learned something important while fighting among ourselves for all those centuries. Victory isn't about destruction. It's about change. Lieutenant Blackwood surveyed the chaos unfolding throughout the facility with professional satisfaction. The command center had become her impromptu headquarters, with Commander Rack Thal and his staff now confined to a corner, watching their world collapse. Status report from Earth Command, one of her soldiers announced. Operation Doorbell is proceeding ahead of schedule. 80% of Zarkak's military installations have been neutralized or captured. Doorbell Plex asked from his corner, curiosity temporarily overcoming his dejection. Because we knocked, Blackwood explained cheerfully. Speaking of which, she activated her comm link. Team 3, how's our guest list looking? Political delegation from the Central World's arriving now, Lieutenant, came the reply. You were right. The second we leaked those classified military expenditure reports, half the Zarkak's government started pointing fingers at each other. Through the command center's windows, they could see sleek diplomatic vessels landing. Each bore the markings of different Zarkak's political factions, all rushing to distance themselves from the military's catastrophic decision. This is unprecedented, Rack Thal muttered. The political council never leaves the capital world. Amazing what happens when people realize they backed the wrong side, Blackwood said. Though I bet finding out the military was hoarding all that sweet quantum tech for themselves didn't help. Your civilian research institutes looked pretty angry in those encrypted messages we intercepted. The facility's internal communication system crackled with dozens of overlapping arguments as various Zarkak's officials arrived. Military commanders blamed intelligence officers for faulty human analysis. Intelligence officers accused research teams of withholding crucial data. Politicians demanded to know why no one had noticed Earth's rapid technological advancement. Your species thrives on chaos, doesn't it? Plex observed, watching the displays. Not chaos, Blackwood corrected. Adaptation. Right now your entire empire is adapting to a new reality. Some are just adapting faster than others. As if to prove her point, the main doors slid open to reveal Dr. Nexus, flanked by several members of the Science Council. The research team ignored the military officers entirely, making a beeline for Blackwood. Lieutenant Nexus's appendages twitched with barely contained excitement. We've reviewed the technical data you shared. Your species' approach to quantum mechanics is unorthodox but brilliant. The Science Council is prepared to offer immediate cooperation and knowledge exchange. Traitors, Rack Thal surged to his feet. You would abandon centuries of imperial doctrine for progress, Nexus cut him off. The humans solved quantum tunneling problems our best minds called impossible. They turned our theoretical weapons into practical tools. While you were building bigger warships, they were proving half our scientific principles wrong. The facility shook as more diplomatic ships arrived. Through the windows they could see Zarkak's civilians gathering, drawn by the broadcast footage of Earth. Some were already attempting to mimic human clothing styles. Sir, a junior officer called from his station. The trade guild representatives are requesting emergency meetings. They're offering exclusive trading rights to Earth in exchange for access to human entertainment media. Entertainment media, Rack Thal's scales shifted in confusion. Have you seen their action movies? The officer asked. The simulated combat sequences are incredible. And something called pizza? The culinary forums are going crazy. Blackwood tried not to laugh as another group of Zarkak's officials rushed in, these wearing the elaborate robes of the Cultural Preservation Council. They looked absolutely horrified. You must stop these broadcasts immediately, their leader demanded. Our youth are already adopting human linguistic patterns. Someone taught them about something called memes. Yeah, sorry about that, Blackwood said, not sounding sorry at all. Cultural exchange is kind of our thing. Just wait until they discover human music. As if on cue, distant sounds of what might have been an attempt at hip-hop echoed through the facility's corridors. The cultural preservation officials looked ready to faint. This is the real victory, Blackwood told her team as chaos continued to unfold around them. Not the military tech, not the strategic superiority. Good old-fashioned human culture, making friends and influencing people across the galaxy. The command displays showed similar scenes playing out across Zarkak space. Military discipline crumbled as soldiers discovered human sports. Administrative systems ground to a halt as staff became addicted to reality TV shows. The mighty Zarkak's empire was being conquered not by force, but by pizza and pop music. Lieutenant, her comm crackled. Earth Command says the Zarkak Supreme Council is requesting direct negotiations. They're offering unconditional surrender in exchange for streaming rights to something called cat videos. Thal slumped further in his corner. We should have studied your psychological warfare capabilities more carefully. Psychological warfare, Blackwood grinned. Nah, this is just humans being humans. Sharing cool stuff, making friends, and occasionally reminding everyone that we can reverse engineer their best weapons if they make us angry. Dr. Nexus approached again, practically vibrating with excitement. Lieutenant, the Science Council has another proposal. Since your species has already improved so many of our technologies, perhaps we could establish a joint research facility. Your innovative approach to ignoring theoretical limitations combined with our technical expertise. Oh no, groaned the cultural preservation leader. They're going to start collaborating. Of course we are, Blackwood said. Humans love a good collaboration. Almost as much as we love proving people wrong about what's impossible, the Grand Hall of the Zarkak Supreme Council had never been so crowded, or so thoroughly humbled. Representatives from every major faction of the Empire stood in shocked silence as Earth's delegation made their entrance. Lieutenant Blackwood led the way, now wearing a formal Marine dress uniform, though she'd kept her combat boots on, just in case. You know what the funny thing is, she whispered to Plex, who had been appointed as the official liaison after Thal's rather dramatic nervous breakdown. We weren't even trying to hide our capabilities. Your intelligence agencies just couldn't believe we'd advanced so fast. The report seemed impossible, Plex admitted, his scales shifting in embarrassment. No species had ever adapted alien technology so quickly, or so creatively. The massive holographic displays around the hall showed the current state of the former Zarkak's military. Human ships patrolled quantum space lanes, their hybrid technology making them look like the offspring of a Zarkak's battlecruiser and a terrestrial predator. Ground forces used phasing tanks to casually drive through planetary defense barriers. And in orbit around Earth, the massive factory ships were churning out innovations that made the Empire's best tech look primitive. The Supreme Council recognizes Earth's delegation, announced the Chief Counselor, his ceremonial robes noticeably less ornate than usual. We are prepared to discuss terms. Terms, Blackwood raised an eyebrow. Oh no, this isn't a negotiation. This is an orientation session. She nodded to her team, who activated their presentation displays. The hall filled with images of Earth's new defense network. Quantum barriers merged with zero-point energy fields, creating shields that could stop entire fleets. The weapon systems that combined technologies from a dozen alien races, all refined and improved by human engineers who refused to accept theoretical limitations. As you can see, Blackwood continued, Earth is now the most heavily defended planet in known space. We've got enough firepower to reduce several solar systems to their component atoms. But that's not why you should be worried. The displays shifted to show something even more terrifying: social media statistics. Zarkak's youth were abandoning traditional communication protocols in favor of human messaging apps. Imperial fashion was being replaced by Earth styles. The previously rigid social hierarchy was crumbling under an assault of democratic ideas and cat memes. Your civilization as you knew it is already over, Blackwood explained cheerfully. We didn't even have to fire a shot. We just had to introduce your people to the concept of viral videos and food blogs. The Cultural Preservation Council representatives made small whimpering sounds. But fear not, Blackwood spread her arms wide. Earth is generous in victory. We're prepared to offer full diplomatic relations, cultural exchange programs, and technological collaboration. Under certain conditions, of course. The Supreme Council leaned forward eagerly. Behind them, the Science Council representatives were practically bouncing with excitement at the thought of working with human researchers. First condition, Blackwood held up one finger. No more surprises. Every species needs to register their military capabilities with the new Galactic Defense Council. Earth will, of course, chair this council. Murmurs of agreement. The Zarkak's military had lost all credibility anyway. Second condition, another finger. Universal broadcasting rights for human entertainment media. Trust me, it's happening anyway. Might as well make it official. The trade guild representatives were already calculating potential profits. Third condition, a third finger. Joint scientific ventures. Your theoretical knowledge combined with our practical innovation. Time to see what's really impossible. Dr. Nexus's appendages wiggled with joy. And finally, Blackwood's expression turned serious. Earth takes command of all military operations beyond our solar system. We've seen how the Empire handles things. Time for some new management. This is outrageous. One elderly counselor stood up. The Empire has ruled for 12,000 cycles. We cannot simply. 11,999 cycles, Blackwood corrected. That last cycle didn't go so well for you. But hey, if you'd prefer, we could just release the complete archives of your military's financial records. I'm sure your civilian population would love to know where all those tax credits really went. The counselor sat down quickly. Smart choice, Blackwood nodded. Now, who's ready to talk about franchising opportunities? We've got this restaurant chain called McDonald's that's really interested in interstellar expansion. As the various councils devolved into excited discussions about business opportunities and cultural exchanges, Plex moved closer to Blackwood. Was this your plan all along, he asked, to conquer us with culture and commerce rather than weapons? Plex, buddy, if there's one thing humans excel at, it's aggressive marketing, she grinned. The military tech was just to get your attention. The real invasion, that's going to be pizza joints and streaming services. The displays showed more scenes from across the former empire. Zarkak's youth wearing Earth-style clothing, watching human movies, arguing about music genres. Military academies transformed into technical schools, where human instructors taught engineering students to ignore theoretical limitations. And everywhere, the curious blend of human and alien culture creating something entirely new. Your civilization won't be destroyed, Blackwood assured the watching councils. It's just going to be upgraded. Think of Earth less as a conqueror and more as a very enthusiastic cultural consultant with really big guns. And if we refuse these terms, someone asked from the back. Then we release the complete collection of human internet memes into your quantum network. At once Blackwood's smile turned wicked. Trust me, nobody wants that kind of chaos. The vote to accept Earth's terms was unanimous. Later, as the various councils rushed to begin implementation of the new order, Blackwood stood at a viewport, watching Earth ships patrol the Zarkak's capital world. You know what the best part is, she told her team. They still think this was some kind of master plan, that we carefully orchestrated their downfall through cultural warfare and technological superiority. Wasn't it, one of her soldiers asked. Nah. This is just what happens when you get humans angry enough to focus. We went from finding alien tech to improving it to spreading it across the galaxy, all because someone thought kidnapping a Marine was a good idea. She shook her head. Imagine what we'll do now that we're actually trying. In the distance, a new sign was being installed on the former Imperial Palace. It read Earth Embassy and Cultural Center, now serving pizza. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity was just getting started.